On a sunny afternoon in Amokwe, as Omasiri made her way back from the market, the peaceful air was disrupted by the sight of Mr. Oliver's car. The wealthy businessman, determined to pursue his sinister desires, stopped his vehicle and called out to Omasiri. Ignoring his advances, Omasiri quickened her pace, hoping to avoid any confrontation. However, Mr. Oliver, displaying a persistent audacity, stepped out of his car and approached her. He professed his love and intentions, expressing a desire to make her his fifth wife. Omasiri, her patience worn out, lashed out, asserting her independence and youth.
Stay away from me. I am not interested, and I am too young to be anyone's wife.
She declared with a fiery resolve. Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Amokwe, there lived a cheerful family, the Anayos. Mr. Anayo, a diligent welder, and his wife, Mrs. Ongochukwu, who sold foodstuffs in the bustling market, worked hard to provide for their family. Their eldest, a bright and charming 18-year-old girl named Omasiri, had just graduated from high school. She was a source of pride for her parents, who marveled at her intelligence and warm-hearted nature. Omasiri's younger brother, Kosara, a bubbling kid in junior high school, looked up to his sister with admiration. The Anayos were not wealthy, but they were content. Their simple home echoed with laughter and love, creating an atmosphere that made them feel richer than any material possession could. Omasiri, with her dreams held high, decided to take a year off to help her parents and save money for college. She embraced her role in the family, assisting her mother in the market and keeping an eye on Kasara's studies. Despite the hard work, their bond grew stronger. Amokwe, with its lush greenery and close-knit community, was a heaven for the Anayos. The villagers admired the family's unity and the well-mannered nature of Omasiri and Kosara. The siblings' warm smiles were a reflection of the love that surrounded them. One sunny afternoon, as Omasiri and Kosara returned from their daily tasks, Mrs. Amuchuku greeted them with a beaming smile.
Your father has some exciting news.
She exclaimed. Mr. Anayo had secured a new welding project that would bring extra income to the family. The news spread through the village, and the Anayos became a beacon of hope, a testament to hard work and determination. Their neighbors rejoiced in their success, and the entire village came together to celebrate. As days turned into weeks, Omasiri continued to be supportive sister and daughter, balancing her responsibility with a grace that inspired those around her. Kosara flourished in his studies, fueled by the encouragement of his family. One day, as the sun set over Amokwe, Omasiri gathered her family.
I have saved enough for my college fund.
She announced with a bright smile. Mr. Anayo and Mrs. Onwuchukwu exchanged proud glances, realizing that their daughter's dedication had paid off. In the peaceful village of Amokwe, the Anayo family continued to bask in the warmth of their close bond. However, a new twist was about to unfold in their lives. One day, a wealthy man named Oliver, in his 50s, a prominent businessman in the village, approached Mr. Anayo with a proposal that sent shockwaves through their humble home. Oliver expressed his desire to marry Omasiri, the jewel of the Anayo family. Mr. Anayo, a man of principles and protective of his children, didn't take kindly to Oliver's proposition. His face tightened, and anger flashed in his eyes. He sternly told Oliver to leave, emphasizing that such thoughts were unwelcome in their home. Oliver, undeterred by Mr. Anayo's refusal, grew more persistent. He was known for his wealth and influence, and his arrogance knew no bounds. Mr. Anayo, though angered, stood his ground, defending his family fiercely.
Never return to my house with such intentions. My daughter is not for sale and I won't allow her to be preyed upon by a man of your age.
Mr. Anayo declared, his voice filled with a father's protective fervor. Back at the market, Mrs. Omuchukwu could sense her husband's agitation. Sensing trouble, she rushed home, where she found Mr. Anayo recounting the encounter with Oliver. Omasiri too overheard the conversation from her younger brother, Kosara. Omasiri's heart sank, but her parents, realizing the distress it caused her, gathered around to reassure her.
No harm will come to you, my dear. We are here to protect you, and your dreams will not be compromised.
Mrs. Omuchukwu comforted her daughter. Despite the family's unity, Oliver harbored a sinister determination. Unknown to the Anayos, he vowed to make Omasiri his wife, irrespective of the obstacles. His wicked intentions lingered like a dark cloud over the otherwise serene village. As the days passed, Mr. Anayo doubled down on his commitment to his children's education. He worked tirelessly, fueled by a father's determination to shield his family from any harm. The village, aware of the situation, rallied behind the Anayos, standing in solidarity against Oliver's unwelcome advances. Omasiri, although saddened by the unfortunate turn of events, found solace in her family's love and support. She clung to her dreams, trusting her parents' promise to see her and Kosara through university. On a sunny afternoon in Amogwe, as Omasiri made her way back from the market, the peaceful air was disrupted by the sight of Mr. Oliver's car. The wealthy businessman, determined to pursue his sinister desires, stopped his vehicle and called out to Omasiri. Ignoring his advances, Omasiri quickened her pace, hoping to avoid any confrontation. However, Mr. Oliver, displaying a persistent audacity, stepped out of his car and approached her. He professed his love and intentions, expressing a desire to make her his fifth wife. Omasiri, her patience worn out, lashed out, asserting her independence and youth.
Stay away from me. I am not interested, and I am too young to be anyone's wife.
She declared with a fiery resolve. Mr. Oliver, undeterred by Omasiri's rejection, insisted that she must be his wife. Anger rising within her, Omasiri forcefully pushed him aside and walked away, leaving Mr. Oliver sitting with frustration as he drove off in his car. That evening, Omasiri, still shaken by the encounter, recounted the distressing incident to her family. Her parents, infuriated by Mr. Oliver's persistence, reassured her of their unwavering support. Mr. Anayo, consumed by a father's protective fury, decided to confront Mr. Oliver with stern determination etched on his face. He marched towards the wealthy man's residence, determined to put an end to his unwelcome pursuit of his daughter. Upon reaching Mr. Oliver's house, Mr. Anayo demanded an explanation for his disrespectful behavior towards Omasiri.
My daughter is not a commodity for you to collect. She has dreams and she deserves respect.
He asserted, his words cutting through the tension-filled air. Mr. Oliver, displaying his characteristic arrogance, dismissed Mr. Anayo's concern, fueling the fire of the escalating conflict. Mr. Oliver instructed his men to forcefully remove Mr. Anayo from his compound. The scene unfolded with aggression as Mr. Anayo, though expelled, returned to his family with a steadfast reassurance that all would be well. Undeterred by the recent events, The Anayos shifted their focus to preparing Omasiri for her journey to the university in the city. Excitement filled the air as they gathered the necessities for her new chapter in life. Omasiri, with dreams in her eyes, couldn't contain her joy. As the day of departure neared, emotions ran high within the Anayo household. Kosarachi, Omasiri's younger brother, found it particularly challenging. Tears welled up in his eyes as he expressed his sorrow at the thought of missing his sister. Omasiri, the epitome of strength and warmth, consoled him, promising to return home during every holiday. The family, despite the recent turmoil, shared a moment of unity and love, comforting each other amidst the impending separation. The eve of Omasiri's departure arrived, and the Anayo family gathered for a heartfelt conversation. Her parents, filled with a mix of pride and concern, summoned her for a private discussion. They shared advice, encouraging her to excel in her studies and to stay clear of negative influences. Her mother, a pillar of strength, offered a heartfelt prayer for Omasiri's well-being and success. The entire family, bonded by love, spent the night in preparation, with Omasiri and Kosarachi staying up late to organize her belongings. As the clock ticked towards dawn, the Anayos, exhausted yet content, drifted off to sleep with dreams of a bright future for Omasiri. Little did they know that the night held an unexpected twist, a twist that would challenge their resilience and unity once more. The next morning, with hope and excitement in her heart, Omasiri woke up early. She took a bath, carefully dressed, and arranged all her luggage, eager to begin her journey to the city for university. She went to wake her parents to see her off. As she knocked on their door, her mother was the first to respond. She called for Mr. Nayo, but there was an air silence. Omasiri grew increasingly concerned, urging her mother to open the door. When they entered the room, their worst fear were realized. Mr. Anayo lay motionless. Panicking, they tried desperately to wake him, but he remained unresponsive. Kosarachi rushed into the room, and together they shouted, shook him, and pleaded for a sign of life. It was then that the harsh reality struck. Mr. Anayo had passed away. Devastation engulfed the Anayo family as they cried out in grief. The news spread like wildfire, and the villagers rushed in to offer their condolences. Omasiri, her dreams shattered, couldn't contain her pain. The joyous occasion had turned into an unthinkable tragedy. As the women consoled Mrs. Onwuchukwu, Omasiri sat in shock, holding onto Kosarachi. The weight of the loss was too much to bear. Her father, the pillar of their family, was gone. The dreams of a brighter future, the promise of education, all seemed to crumble in the face of this unexpected tragedy. Amidst the collective sorrow, the village rallied around the grieving Anayo family. The once harmonious home now echoed with the somber sounds of mourning. Omasiri, contemplating the shattered piece of her life, found solace in the support of her community. In the midst of sorrow, the Anayos faced the challenging task of burying their beloved father and husband. The village, recognizing the family's hardship, offered assistance in organizing a befitting farewell for Mr. Anayo. As they laid him to rest, Omasiri, with tear-streaked eyes, clung to the memories of her father's unwavering love and determination. The once vibrant Anayo family was now grappling with the harsh reality of loss, and the road ahead seemed daunting and uncertain. A few weeks after the funeral, Omasiri and her mother, Mrs. Onwuchukwu, sat down one evening to discuss the challenging road ahead. Mrs. Onwuchukwu, with a heavy heart, explained the financial constraints they faced after Mr. Anayo's burial. She expressed the need for Omasiri to put her dreams on hold temporarily and assist in the family's provision. Understanding the reality of the situation, Omasiri accepted her mother's proposal with determination in her heart. She embraced the responsibility of helping her mother in the shop to raise funds for both her and Kosarachi's school fees. Days turned into weeks as Omasiri worked tirelessly, juggling her responsibility with the diligence and had become characteristic of the Anayo family. Her dreams of university seemed distant, but the love of her family and the memory of her father fueled her efforts. Then, one day, the unwelcome presence of Mr. Oliver disrupted the fragile peace the family was trying to rebuild. He visited Mrs. Onwuchukwu, persisting in his desire to marry Omasiri. Mrs. Onwuchukwu, with a fiery determination, refused his advances. She declared that Omasiri was not ready for marriage and insisted that her daughter must go to school before such consideration. Mr. Oliver, with a disconcerting smile, left the premises, but an unsettling feeling lingered in the air. Omasiri, overhearing the conversation, emerged with a steely resolve, telling her mother not to be bothered by Mr. Oliver's persistence. As they set out to the market the next day, Omasiri and Mrs. Omuchukwu was determined to face the challenges together. Kosarachi at school remained unaware of the sinister plans brewing in the background. Little did they know, Mr. Oliver, fueled by his twisted desires, was hatching a sinister plan. The village of Amokwe, still mourning the loss of Mr. Anayo, was blissfully unaware of the storm that threatened the Anayo family once again. The journey ahead seemed fraught with uncertainties, and Omasiri braced herself for whatever challenges lay in their path. As Omasiri continued to face Mr. Oliver's relentless advances on the road, she stood resilient, refusing to engage with him. His desperation grew, and he spitefully predicted that she would come begging soon. Undeterred, Omasiri ignored his words, choosing not to let his toxic presence affect her. However, tragedy struck that very evening. Mrs. Onwuchukwu, returning from the market, was unexpectedly struck by lightning and lost her life instantly. The villagers, rushing to her aid, could do nothing to change the cruel fate that had befallen the Anayo family once again. Omasiri and Kosarachi, receiving the devastating news, rushed to the scene, only to find their mother lifeless. They cried, pleaded for her to come back, but she remained still. The foundation of their world crumbled, and the villagers offered their condolences, providing support to the grieving siblings. That night, well-wishers stayed with them, offering comfort through the dark hours. The next morning, Mrs. Omuchiko was laid to rest. Omasi and Kosalachi, shattered by grief, clung to each other for support. The pain was overwhelming, and tears seemed to flow endlessly. In the midst of mourning, Mr. Oliver, showing a heart devoid of empathy, came to express condolences and shockingly renewed his proposal to Omasiri. Anger fled within her, and she lashed out at him, condemning his insensitivity. Kosarachi, fueled by grief and rage, took a stand. Armed with a machete, he chased Mr. Oliver away, vowing never to allow him near their compound again. The well-wishers intervened, urging them to focus on mourning their mother rather than engaging with Mr. Oliver's wickedness. Omasiri and Kosarachi, their hearts heavy with sorrow, allowed the tears to flow freely as they faced the harshly reality of a world without their parents. The once happy Anayo family now navigated a path marked by loss and hardship, clinging to the support of their community as they mourned the untimely departure of their beloved mother. In the weeks that followed the burial of Mrs. Onwuchukwu, Omasiri shouldered the responsibility of looking after her younger brother Kosarachi. Determined to ensure they never went hungry, she took on various jobs and worked tirelessly to make ends meet. Omasiri became a beacon of hope for Kosarachi, who was deeply grateful for everything his sister did. Despite the challenges, Omasiri's resilience shone through. She navigated the harsh realities of life with determination and grace, providing for her brother and ensuring that they had the essentials. The bond between the siblings grew stronger as they faced adversity together. However, Mr. Oliver, undeterred by his previous rejections, resumed his intrusive attempt to win Omasiri's favor. He showered them with gifts, trying to use material possessions as a means to his unsettling ends. Kosarachi, having had enough, threw back every gift and chased Mr. Oliver away once again. Omasiri and Kosarachi, though mourning the loss of their parents, found strength in each other. Omasiri's unwavering commitment to her brother became a source of inspiration for the villagers, who admired her resilience in the face of adversity. The challenges continued, but the Anayo siblings faced them with courage and the support of a community that rallied around them in their time of need. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Omasiri received a call that her brother, Kosarachi, had collapsed at school. Racing to his side, she found him being rushed to the hospital. The weight of the situation grew heavier when the doctor informed her that a deposit of 100,000 naira was required before they could commence any treatment. Devastated and with no means to afford such a sum, Omasiri pleaded with the doctor to start the treatment, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Desperation drove her to seek help from relatives, but none could provide the needed funds. In a moment of desperation, Omasiri's thoughts turned to Mr. Oliver, the wealthy man who had persistently pursued her. With a heavy heart, Omasiri approached Mr. Oliver, and as expected, he greeted her with a knowing smile. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face, as she begged for his help to save her brother's life. Mr. Oliver, seizing the opportunity, coldly stated that he would provide the money only if Omasiri signed a document agreeing to marry him. In a desperate attempt to save her brother, Omasiri, fueled by grief and urgency, agreed to Mr. Oliver's terms. He handed her the money and she rushed back to the hospital, hoping to arrive in time. However, upon her return, she received the devastating news Kosarachi had passed away. Overwhelmed by grief, Omasiri screamed, shouting in anguish and calling for death to take her too. The weight of loss and the consequences of her desperate decision to save her brother's life with a painful compromise crashed down on her. The hospital room, once a place of hope, became a haunting reminder of the tragic turn their lives had taken. Omasiri, shattered by the loss of her brother and the heavy price she paid, faced an uncertain and painful future. In the weeks following the tragic loss of her brother, Omasiri made a difficult decision to seek solace in her maternal home, planning to live with her grandmother. However, her hopes were shattered when Mr. Oliver with his men intercepted her. Taken to Mr. Oliver's house, Omasiri, confused and distressed, questioned why she was brought there. Mr. Oliver, with a sinister grin, presented the document she had signed, a document that now bound her to him as his wife. In desperation, Omasiri pleaded with Mr. Oliver, reminding him of the recent tragedy that had befallen her family, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. Mr. Oliver, driven by his selfish desires, disregarded her grief and ordered his men to take her inside and prepare her as his wife. Omasiri, heartbroken and in disbelief, continued to beg and cry, but her pleas were met with indifference. The once vibrant and hopeful girl found herself trapped in a nightmare, forced into a situation she never consented to. The walls closed in around her as the reality of her circumstances sank in, leaving her in a vulnerable and distressing situation. The shadows of tragedy and manipulation continued to loom over Omasiri's life, casting a dark cloud on her once promising future. Days turned into weeks, and Omasiri found herself held hostage in a room within Mr. Oliver's mansion. Isolated from the world outside, she endured the torment of Mr. Oliver's unwelcome advances every night. The weight of her despair pressed upon her, and thoughts of death seemed like the only escape. As the cruel days passed, Omasiri, in a moment of desperate clarity, decided to play along, to feign submission in hopes of finding a way out of her death situation. One night, as Mr. Oliver entered the room, she knelt down, her eyes averted.
Mr. Oliver, forgive me for all I have done. I realize now that I should have accepted your proposal from the beginning. I am willing to be your wife.
Mr. Oliver, surprised and pleased by this sudden change, grinned triumphantly.
Well, it seems you have finally come to your senses. Get up. There is no need for such dramatics.
Omasiri stood, a deceptive smile on her face, concealing the sinister plan taking root in her mind.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. I promise to be the dutiful wife you deserve.
Mr. Oliver, thinking he had succeeded in breaking her resistance, assured her.
Good. I expect nothing less. I will take good care of you.
As Mr. Oliver left the room that night, Omasiri's smile morphed into a quiet determination. Unknown to him, she harbored a secret plan, a glimmer of hope in the darkness that surrounded her. The game of survival and manipulation had just taken a turn, and Omasiri was ready to navigate its treacherous path. The next morning, Omasiri found herself released from the confining room, while she now had the right to move around Mr. Oliver's mansion. A new set of constraints awaited her. She wasn't permitted to leave the premises. Despite this, she adapted to her circumstances, dressing well and even have a personal maid attending to her needs. Omasiri played her role as Oliver's best wife meticulously. With a careful charm, she managed to win his trust, making her words carry weight within the mansion. Whatever she said stood, and her influence began to reshape the dynamics among Mr. Oliver's wives. Her newfound position didn't sit well with the other wives, who grew jealous of Omasiri's favored status. Their decision was evident, yet they found themselves compelled to adhere to her lead. Omasiri's ability to navigate the delicate balance of the mansion's politics and gain Mr. Oliver's favor made her a force to be reckoned with. As she moved through the opulent halls, Omasiri's presence cast a shadow over the other wives, and the mansion became a stage for a complex dance of power, jealousy, and reluctant compliances. Omasiri, while seemingly confined, had become a silent orchestrated within the mansion's walls, her actions guided by a carefully concealed plan known only to her. As time passed, Omasiri's position as the favored wife in Mr. Oliver's mansion solidified. She went to great lengths to please him, doing everything he asked. However, a clandestine meeting with her cousin Amechi, the gardener at Mr. Oliver's mansion, changed the course of her understanding. Amechi, aware of the danger surrounding them, discreetly handed Omasiri a letter claiming it was from Kosarachi. He revealed the shocking truth about Mr. Oliver's sinister intentions and actions. The letter disclosed how Mr. Oliver was responsible for the deaths of her family members, all in his pursuit to make Omasiri his wife. Kosarachi, even in death, revealed the existence of a secret room where Mr. Oliver kept his malevolent charms. In her room, shaking and tearful, Omasiri read the letter carefully. Kosarachi's words exposed the depth of Mr. Oliver's malevolence. Composing herself, Omasiri knew she had to act, not just for her family's justice, but for her own survival. With newfound determination, Omasiri grappled with the weight of the information. Amechi's letter sparked a plan within her, a plan to uncover the truth and break free from the clutches of Mr. Oliver's sinister influence. The mansion, once a gilded cage, became a battleground where Omasiri would confront the darkness that had consumed her life and fight for the justice her family deserved. Driven by the revelation from Amechi's letter, Omasiri devised a plan to confront Mr. Oliver and put an end to his malevolence. She arranged a dinner date, adding a special substance to his food. As they sat down to eat, the atmosphere was tense.
Mr. Oliver, I have been thinking about us. I want us to have a special night together.
Well, my dear, I am always up for a special night.
As they eat, Omasiri kept a watchful eye on Mr. Oliver, waiting for the moment the substance would take effect. Soon, he started feeling the effect and began to lose consciousness.
Let me help you to your room.
They walked towards his room, Omasiri concealing the turmoil within. Upon reaching the door, a mysterious force pushed her back. In that moment, Kosarachi appeared, embracing her and infusing her with strength. She pushed open the door and discovered the secret room.
This is where it ends.
With a bottle of alcohol in hand, Omasiri followed Kasarachi's instruction. She splashed the liquid around the charms, causing Mr. Oliver to scream in agony. The entire household rushed to his aid, unaware of Omasiri's true intentions. Mr. Oliver, writhing in pain, confessed to his heinous deeds. He admitted to killing wives' families to marry them, driven by a twisted desire for youth. Omasiri, filled with rage and sorrow, cursed him.
You destroyed my family, my dreams. May you never find peace.
As Mr. Oliver begged for mercy, Omasiri, standing amidst the chaos, felt a mix of pain and satisfaction. The dark secret that had haunted her life was now exposed. Mr. Oliver's reign of terror had come to an end, and Omasiri, though scared by the ordeal, found a semblance of closure. The mansion that once held her captive now echoed with the cries of revelation and justice. With Mr. Oliver's dark chapter firmly behind her, Omasiri and Amechi ventured to the city in search of new opportunities. They both secured jobs and worked diligently to build a stable life. Omasiri, determined to fulfill her dreams of education, managed to save enough money for jam lessons and eventually secured admission to a university. The journey through university wasn't without challenges, but with Amechi's unwavering support, Omasiri persevered and graduated with flying colors. She quickly landed a job and, true to her nature, extended a helping hand to Amechi, aiding him in securing a position in their company. Together, they worked tirelessly to restore honor to their family name. Omasiri's ambition soared, and with Amechi's assistance, she eventually founded her own company, rising to the position of CEO. Her journey from a small village to the helm of a multi-million-dollar company was a testament to her resilience and determination. Despite her success, Omasiri couldn't shake the bitter-sweet reality that her family wasn't there to witness her triumphs. The void left by their absence was a poignant reminder of the sacrifices that had paved the way for her success. However, life had more blessings in store for Omasiri. Mr. Kelvin, a man of equal stature and success, sought her hand in marriage. Their union was celebrated with a grand wedding, becoming the talk of the town. In the years that followed, Omasiri and Mr. Kelvin were blessed with two boys and a girl. As Omasiri held her own family close, she shared her story with her children. Tales of perseverance, triumph over adversity, and the importance of family bonds. Her happy ending wasn't just a personal victory, it became a legacy passed down to the next generation. With each contract secured, each milestone achieved, and each tender moment with her family, Omasiri continued to honor the memory of her loved ones. Her life, once marred by tragedy, had blossomed into a tale of resilience, success, and the enduring power of hope. From the tale of Omasiri's journey emerges a powerful lesson: resilience in the face of adversity. Despite life's darkest moments, she turned tragedy into triumph through unwavering determination, hard work, and the support of those who believed in her. Remember, challenges may come, but with perseverance, a supportive network, and a focus on one's dreams, even the most daunting obstacles can be overcome.